This is the first discussion of bunting that I've done for smallballsuccess.com, which is actually going to feature a demonstration, I hope. I mean, it'll be a demonstration, but it may demonstrate what a bad punter I am. You know, as I said in the introductory video, there's not going to be any lessons here about how they used to bunt back in the deadball era, which is what we usually do when we're trying to recommend techniques for maybe shorter kids to get really powerful offensively. We try to refer them back to some things that were done 100 years ago, but we don't really know how guys were bunting 100-something years ago, back at the beginning of the 1900s, because there was no sacrifice per se. The category didn't even exist, so they were doing a lot of interesting, unusual things with their bat, I think. And I'm going to try to reconstruct some of them just based on narrative evidence that I've heard, but I don't really have much in the way of photographic evidence that I can use to help me with that. So I've just been kind of trying to mess around here with my personal pitcher, which is purring in the background. I'm going to fill it up with balls and do the demonstration in a minute, but This is kind of guesswork on my part. When I get to that, when I get to the unusual stuff like kind of not sacrificing but dropping the ball down and trying to get it past the pitcher and beat it out, that's in the making right now. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to say about that. This is just really basic stuff. In fact, I've written some of it down, and it's not from the annals of the past. It's really I think just kind of common sense. I've been looking at various books on the subject and trying to swat up a little bit and figure out what I want to say, but long and the short of it is, you know, different coaches have different techniques that they prefer. I'm just going to mention some of the things that, well, the first two I think are just really not even about bunting technique in and of itself, but they're just, one thing that I wanted to be sure to mention right off is, you know, not to wrap your fingers around the bat, the upper hand when you go to bunt. You don't want those fingers to get hit, and you don't want them to be tight. So just hold them behind the bat as much as you can and sort of almost make a little hook as if you were hanging a picture. It's like a picture hanger, I say. You want this to be very loose. Another point that I wanted to stress is that when you do get the sacrifice down, run it out to first base because you might beat it out. I see some guys who get a good bunt down and they're almost on their way back to the dugout. Why are you doing that? I mean, they may mess up the play at second base, but because you're not busting it down to first, then they'll still get you out. Why not have two on and nobody out instead of runner in scoring position and one out? So always run it out. You know, what I just said about having this upper hand loose, that's easier to do when your good hand, if you're right-handed as I am, is on the bottom. And I think that's part of the reason why I see different techniques proposed by different coaches in the stuff that I've read. Most people are going to have their better hand on top, and it's hard to get that hand to lighten up and let the bottom hand do the steering. It's almost as though I think with these coaches, they're just assuming that this is going to be the hand that does all the work and this one's just along for the ride. And I think that's a harder way to bunt, but of course if you're right-handed batting right-handed, that's what you're going to have to learn. Everything I'm going to do this afternoon is right-hander batting left-handed, and I would recommend actually, if you're still kind of figuring out how you're going to succeed offensively and it's just not working for you, maybe you should consider becoming a left-handed hitter, even though you're right-handed. I mean, if you're going to be bad right-handed, you might as well be bad left-handed. A lot of teams don't have any left-handed hitters. And, you know, if you're equally bad from both sides, you're going to have a higher average from the left side because you're shorter to first base when you get out of the box, especially when you're doing things like bunting. So I think more kids should actually try to turn around, especially if you're looking for something that makes you special. Turn around and bat left. It's not that hard to do. Now, in this particular demonstration, I better speed it up here. I don't want to use up all my time just talking. But I want my, as I say, the top end's going to be very loose. I'm not going to wrap the fingers. I'm going to use my knees to try to get low. I don't like it when I see guys who are bending over at the waist to try to get the bat down. Bend your knees. You guys, you're a lot younger than I am. You ought to be able to do this. I want to bring my eyes down to the top of the strike zone. And I want my barrel to be there too, right beside my eyes. And anything that's above that level, I should just let go. This is something I've just really discovered on my own and practicing bunting in the last few days. But two things about the barrel. These are, I think, both important. It's tempting when you're doing what I'm doing with the old school swing and, you know, almost kind of running up on the pitch sometimes. It's tempting to try to switch into a bunting mode from that, oh, they think I'm going to swing mode to fool the infielders. But I would say don't carry that too far if you're sacrificing. The important thing for a sacrifice is just to get the darn ball down. So I wouldn't square too early now. This is another, I'm not saying come around too early, because why give it away? You shouldn't need to be squared around 5 seconds before the pitcher goes into his delivery, but it's okay. I'm going to try, in fact, in these demonstrations to get into my bunt mode real late, just as the ball's about to come out. Nevertheless, again, I don't want the barrel to be swinging forward. I want to get that thing at least perpendicular to my body. I want to get it out there so that I can have some coil in it when the ball hits. If I'm bringing it forward even a little bit, then I'm taking away from its resilience. It's not going to be able to go back when the ball strikes if it's coming forward. And I'm going to mess that bunt up. I may just pop it up or hit it pretty hard right back to the pitcher. So get it out at least perpendicular to your body. Some guys even like to sort of point it at the pitcher. And also, let's see, I said keep it up at the top of the zone. What else do I have here? Try to keep the barrel at the same level. Don't lift it up. We talked about that. I think I better get on to my demonstration. I thought I had one more thing here. Yeah, this is going to be very unusual. A lot of coaches don't like this, but it's comfortable for me. Because I'm batting left, if I see something come outside, I'm just going to kind of try to slide. They say don't do that. Don't be moving your bat back and forth. Some coaches do. But because I have this hand so very, very light on the bat, I can use my bottom hand. I think of this almost as, you know, a bow on a fiddle. I'm just going to slide it out there. And I find that the ball hits the bat so lightly when I do that, that even if it bounces up in the air a little bit, it's not going to go far enough for anybody to catch. So that's one thing I do. And finally, if I want the bunt to go to my pull side, I'm going to bring this foot up. A lot of coaches I've noticed like for you to do that every time. And again, I think that's because they think most hitters are batting right. So you're going to try to get it down to the third baseman since your runner's at first. I guess. I don't know. But this is just what seems to me to be most comfortable as a left-handed batter who's right-handed. Jammed it. I just dumped them all in there. There we go. was foul, but I didn't pop it up. Now that one I pulled. Oh, that's what I don't want to do. For that either. It's not bad. A little hard, but oh, I better get a little closer. As you can see, those are kind of, since they're wiffle balls, little golf ball sized wiffle balls, they sometimes have a little hump in them. They can be pretty good bunting practice because they're hard to track. And I think I did pretty well there, but the main thing, once again, don't pop it up. You want, as long as you get the ball on the ground, even if it goes right back to the pitcher, if it's not going too hard, sometimes those can be amazingly productive because pitchers don't make that throw to second base very often, and occasionally you'll bunt a little dribbler back to the pitcher and he thinks, oh, I've got time to get two on this, and he either wastes time trying to figure out if he's got time, and then if you're busting it down first, you may beat it too, or else he throws it and the throw's not good and goes into center field, and before you know it, you got first and third. So as long as you get it on the ground, something good could happen, but you got to get it down. If you pop it up a little bit and the third baseman is rushing in, if he's smart, or the catcher, you know what they're going to do? They're going to let it drop and then get the double play, because the poor guy at first is sort of hung out to dry. He thinks it's going to be caught, and a smart infielder will let it come down while the runner on first is trying to get back to first. So the worst thing you can do is pop it up. Just be sure that you get it down, and we'll talk next time. I've been talking about sacrifices this time. I'll try to stray a little bit into areas that I think the Deadball guys may have been doing that were unique to them.